Hello there, this is MD here with you on GebZilla. In this video, we're gonna take this boring background and add a beautiful gradient to it. Gradients are in right now. You might not be as excited by this particular gradient as I am, but I'll show you how to do your own custom stuff here in Illustrator. Alright, let's get started. Alright, you can get started with using any shape. We're gonna use though, under File, Open, I've got a file that we can all practice together with. The same one we got started with. It's called Getting Started. Okay, let's click Open. It doesn't matter which file. We're gonna use this square in the background. Just cause you're gonna do type in the next video. But and this little fox I made with the Shape Builder tool. For this background here, I want it to be a gradient background. Gradients disappeared for a while, and now they're back. They're cool. They're hip. Let's do them. So, black arrow. Got my box selected. And the easiest way to get started is going to fill. And there's kind of a generic gradient here. There it is there. There's a generic black and white. A generic weird yellow-orange one. And some sort of hardly blue one. There's this one and this. There are some terrible ones built into it. But let's just start with black versus white. And we'll change it. To change it, let's click on Gradient Options. And I'm gonna close that back in. Otherwise, you can go to Window. Open up Gradient from there. Cool. So I'm gonna move them just over here somewhere. So, you can change the color. And the direction. And the type. So, the type is linear, left to right, or straight line gradient, or radial, and freeform. Here, depending on what you want to do, let's start with a linear one. Let's change the colors. We'll just need to double click these two little swatches down at the bottom here. Double click the white one, and you can pick your swatches, or your color. I'm gonna pick a color and just kind of randomly pick a color to get started with. It's gonna be green, of course. And double click the last slider to change the in one. And I'm gonna pick another color. I'm gonna keep clicking colors until I find one that I like. That'll do. You can click it again. So it jumps back in. We've got a linear. So we've got two colors. You can be very analytical and say, I want it to be top and bottom. Is it 90? Let's change the direction. No, that's 90. 180 is gonna flip it across. Or top to bottom. Going to be 90. What I find is, unless you wanted those kinds of stock degrees, I just use this tool over here. It's this one here. The gradient tool. That little square there above the eyedropper. Click on him. What ends up happening is that's the line from top to bottom. You can click, hold and drag anywhere you like to get a kind of more of a custom angle. That's kind of what I want. Who knows what angle that is? I'm just kind of getting it across there. The other thing to note, when you are using this, if I draw a really short one, look, it starts at that green and ends at that dark green in a really short period. So you've got to decide whether you want it. You can start it out here, and all the way past. So that absolute kind of dark green and the light green is actually off screen. And won't be seen. Or do it really short. Now it's quite similar when we're using a radial gradient. Kind of sticks itself in, which is often not what I want. I want to do this kind of more. I'm gonna click. That's the center of your gradient. Or your radial gradient. And I'm gonna do something like this. So it's more of a kind of a wafty. I'm gonna grab my black arrow. Click in the background. You get what I mean. It's kind of like a linear gradient. It's kind of wafting. Alright. With it selected. Back to my gradient tool. I'll show you a few other things we can change. You can invert it. Say you want, instead of changing these colors, you can click on this button and you can reverse the gradient. So it's dark in the middle. And the light around the outside. Now, I've just randomly picked colors. I'm not particularly happy with them. So, you can go off and just keep picking them. Or remember in the last video, we looked at something called window, here, and we went to color guide. And we can pick different themes from that, out what a good gradient will look like. So there's a cool little site, called Gradient. So it's just gradient.com. Just somebody's gone through and just picked cool gradients. So, on this first page here, so I click on it. It tells me the color. I'm just gonna select it and copy it. What we can do is double click and we have this hexadecimal number. You can type it all in there. There's that first blue color. But sometimes it's hard to work on a site called Gradient. And the cool thing about it is this company here, Unfold. They've gone I like this one. And the cool thing about it, how to implement it. Let's do that. So that's the beginning color. There's the end color. And it's done in this hexadecimal number, which is a hash. And then 6 digits. So it can be numbers or letters. So I'm using edit, copy. So click through that or you can write it down. Jump back into Illustrator. And double click this first house. And we don't have the RGB. But we have this hexadecimal number. You can type it in there, even with the hash. Hit return or enter. And here is the blue color. And so my second color's quite like this one. But I want exactly this. So I click on it. Grab that. Copy it. Back into Illustrator. Double click this. And paste that in. Hit return or enter. And I've got those two colors. Don't like radial. I'm gonna go to linear. Then I'm gonna use my gradient tool. Drag it out. That's the gradient that I want. Now, some of you are gonna ask how I did that. Where I toggled between using Microsoft Edge and then back to Illustrator. You might know already. If you're on a Mac, it's Command plus Tab. So hold the Command key down and hit Tab, and you can keep tabbing along to find the application. I find that it's just good for copying and pasting Command plus Tab. Command plus Tab. On a PC, it's Alt and Tab. So hold the Alt key down and hit the Tab key, and it will cycle through the open applications. Sometimes I gotta catch myself out doing shortcuts on these beginning courses. But yeah, you probably were gonna ask, so there it is. One last thing we're gonna do is, let's say we find, I'm gonna go to the second page and find one. See this one here? This lovely gradient has 3 colors in it. What do I do if there are 3 colors? So let's get started. First color. Double click him. Paste him in. Return or enter. I'll do the end color. It's probably the same as that last one. Slightly different. But now I need one in the middle. All you do is, there's this kind of like no man's land between these two swatches. Just click there. And you can add another one. Double click it. Jump in here. Grab that middle color. Cool. You can get rid of them. You can click on it. And just click hold and drag it down. To no man's land. And it just disappears. It's magic. Undo. Put it back. I love my gradient. Now, we've done it to a big rectangle. It doesn't matter what you do it to. You click on this piece. Gonna close down color guides. And you can start the same way. I can go back to my black and white. Start adding colors, or in this case, I can grab me. Awesome. Because I just did a gradient. I can click on that and it's gonna apply it. And finally, let's take a look at the freeform gradient. Let's try it. When you click on it, as you can see, we have here 4 points that you can control then. And each one of these has a color. You can move them. Also, you can add more points just by clicking anywhere. Also, you can use lines instead of points. Even you can make curves. As you can see, let's undo all of these. And one more tip. You can control the radius of the color at any point by hovering over this mark here on this circle. and drag it in and out. You can change the color of each point by selecting it and double-clicking here. That will open the color picker. Choose your color and hit OK. As you can see, alright, that's it for gradients in Adobe Illustrator. What we'll do next, we'll start looking at type and fonts. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. MD was with you here on GebZilla.